Hello, hello. It's so chilly in my room. How are you guys doing? I'm gonna let you pile in here real quick. All right. First of all, happy Hanukkah. Hanukkah started tonight. Woo woo woo. Not sure if anyone celebrates, but if you do, happy Hanukkah to you. Um, what's up, Nakara? How you doing, dude? I saw your Colorscope come in, so I've got it downloaded and ready to go. But today we're going to go over the Colorscope projects that we have had submitted so far. And we're also, there's like a couple techniques I wanted to show for like backgrounds for your guys' titles for your reels that you can do, which are interesting backgrounds. Very simple stuff today. So we'll go over those things. So today's class might not be super long, but also another announcement that I will give you guys is because I know several of you have had troubles getting in your Colorscope stuff today. I've had a couple of people reach out about having trouble for that. So I will extend the date until Monday at midnight. So it'll kind of be like a range, but if you've already gotten it turned in, you're ahead of the game because you will get feedback on it today versus feedback on it on Tuesday, where you'll have to implement those changes for Thursday's class. You'll have the whole weekend, so you'll have the benefit of the weekend to make those changes and have a little bit more time on it and have like the feedback already given to you so that you can have that ready and be ahead of it for the final draft on Thursday's class. So let me do that and then I'll set out an announcement here. Just give me a second. So if you feel like your work that you turned in for this one wasn't 100% what you like, if you felt like rushed doing it, that's okay. I'll still give you the feedback on it and then you'll still have time to fix it. So it's not going to be a big deal. Let me see here. Let me change this. Yeah, that's okay. Well, that's going to be beneficial to you because now you'll get me. I'll be able to look at the couple scenes, and then you'll be able to add more over the weekend and stuff. So you'll have a little bit of extra time. So December 11th, I think is yes, Monday at midnight. Let me send out an announcement real quick. Let me type this up. So Nakara, did you play? You did play Gotham Knights. I know you said something in the email that it sucked. I mean, I wanted it to be good because I love Batman. Like, don't get me wrong, I love Batman. It was like one of my favorite. I have like 3 Batmobiles up on my thing, like different Lego Batmobiles. So I'm like a fan of Batman, and I just wanted it to be good. And just compared to the rest of them, it just was too much. I think they tried to do too much in that game. Morning, my Wi-Fi has been really choppy, so if I'm not in the meeting, that's okay. Yeah, dude. If you're, if you I get it. I've been having Wi-Fi issues for the past 3 weeks now. So, yeah, you could jump in, jump out whenever you want to. You get to switch between modalities. So if you didn't make every class, it's not a big deal, right? The biggest thing was getting those participation grades in, which you did. So, I'm fine with that. That's fine. I'm just writing up an announcement. All right. Let's go ahead and look at what we got here. Nakara, since your internet's choppy, we'll go over yours first. So, do my audio on? Is there audio on here? Let me bring it into. All right. Let me go through here. That guy's cool. I think that I think that's your scene. And then it goes on. Okay, so you got the one scene done. Okay, I would take the title off of here because it doesn't need to be in here like that. And then obviously we're gonna need a voiceover and some audio on here as well. So I would definitely go through here and cut this section. And then for this scene, so let's go over this scene right now since you have it done. And then you'll have the rest of the weekend to work on some more, right? And then you can return it in if you want to on before class or on Monday night if you want to return this in with your other scenes so I can go over your other scenes and give you feedback on those. The thing that stands out the most to me is that because this is it should be a monochromatic color palette. So, the grays in the red and the gold color should be taken out and switch with blue colors because of the monochromatic palette. We want to have it, and that's why we picked that those handful of colors in the beginning. And so you have to kind of be strategic about how you place the colors next to each other. You can keep the black on here and then the red, maybe replace it with white or something. I'll allow that to kind of show the difference. It's okay if it's not 100% accurate, but it will work for the moment. And then as far as it looks like your rigging looks good on this. So, yeah, I would just maybe I'm assuming he's like coming out of his hole and like rearing up because he's gonna get the prey. Um, yeah, I just want to see the other scenes and then just make this monochromatic. So, I think that that will be cool, but this is a nice start here. And then if you want to have like something else, maybe a little critter goes by or something like that, that would be fine. Just add a little bit more interest in the scene since there's just like a little bit of like arm motion happening with them. But good start on that scene. All right, Jasmine's. Let's go over Jasmine's. All right.
Blue is the color of wisdom.
Cool.
In art and literature, blue is often used to evoke calmness, serenity, and profound contemplation, a canvas reflecting the essence of wisdom. The boundless blue sky and ocean reflect the vast and profound nature of the human intellect, inspiring us to explore the unknown and seek knowledge. Across cultures, blue is entwined with gods and divine entities, representing the wisdom attributed to high beings. It reminds us that we are part of a great universe and inspires us to seek the wisdom found in spiritual connection. The historical rarity and expense of blue pigment contribute to their association with prestige, importance, and value qualities akin to wisdom. Blue
Awesome.
is the color of wisdom.
Yeah, great first start on this, Jasmine. I'm impressed. You did a really good job. Have some really cool things happening inside of there, which I really like. Hold on real quick. I think my internet is acting slow. Hopefully not. There we go. Hey, Nakara, if you're still in there. Yeah, really good first draft on here. The color palette is fantastic all the way through, very consistent all the way through. You've got some really cool and abstract looking scenes, which I'm super into, especially when you're talking about like different
profound contemplation, a canvas reflecting
things about reflection, contemplation, stuff that we can't necessarily see, but that we can like understand from here. It's abstract and I like it. Let's kind of break down each scene.
is the color of wisdom.
I like that.
In art and literature, blue is often used to.
I love this scene. I think it's great. I like the very subtle music that you have behind it. It's like ambient, like an ambient sound, or you know, like kind of like sleep dream music. And I think that it's really beneficial to the project that you did here, and especially how you wrote your scenes. So really good job at picking the music, and the sound effects and stuff really go well with this.
Art and literature, blue is often used to.
You can maybe even find some seagull sounds or maybe some ocean wave sounds to go over this if you want to. It's not, but because you have like some seagulls and stuff in the scene, it makes me think of like a beach, like something contemplating on the beach or something like that. I think it'd be neat. But if not, that's okay.
Evoke calmness, serenity, and profound contemplation.
The only thing that I notice with the audio is that it's about the same or similar to your voiceover. And so I would just drop the audio maybe a notch or two. So 3 to 6 decibels, just drop that a little bit. Because your voiceover is very relaxed and subtle, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that, but we just don't want that to compete over
a canvas reflecting the
over your
essence
voice.
of wisdom. The boundless blue sky and ocean reflect the vast and profound nature of the human intellect.
I think this is cool. This is a fine scene. Maybe we choose to have these, maybe the balls are interacting or moving around each other in a different way. You could use the cappuccino, extension inside of Cinema 4D for that. But the one thing that I noticed with this scene is like the fading out. So you're like, I can see what you're trying to do is like put them back to back so that they are the same length as your voiceover. But it just doesn't it's not appealing in the scene. And so like the fade, because you can tell right there. So I would just go into Cinema 4D and just extend that scene to be
Like the vast and
about
profound
10
nature
seconds
of the human
long,
intellect,
right?
inspiring us to explore the unknown and seek knowledge. Across cultures,
Yeah, I would make it about 10 to 15 seconds long so you could have it long enough here that you're not having to kind of try and sew together the scenes or the PNG sequences. And that way it's like nice and smooth throughout. And if you want to, yeah, just having like maybe they're just rolling around each other. Maybe there's a third ball in there that's blue or something that's kind of just like more of like an interaction between each other. They don't necessarily have to touch, but maybe they're just moving around in a certain pattern or something like that, if you can do that. Um if not, if you want to stick with this, like I said, I would just extend it.
blue is entwined with gods and divine entities.
This is a really great concept to do that because prayer across different religions with the hands, you know, um Christianity prays with their hands and stuff. So I thought this was a great visualization to it, and adding like the lightning. I'm into it with the clouds and stuff. So really cool scene here.
Representing the wisdom
Subtle motion
attributed to
of
high
the
beings.
clouds is really nice.
It reminds us that we are part of a great universe and inspires us to seek the
And
wisdom
it's a
found
linear
in spiritual
movement, which
connection.
is correct.
The historical rarity and expense of blue pigment contribute to their association with prestige, importance, and value qualities akin to wisdom.
I think what you have here is like you're going for like a palette, like a paint palette or something like that. And that's fine. I think it looks a little bit cluttered kind of in the background just compared to the blue cube that's like rotating. So maybe what we do there instead is this is supposed to be, I'm assuming, like the pigment itself. So maybe it fades out all the way and it's not behind this. So there's no transparency behind this scene. Maybe it's just like a solid blue color and you just have this blue rotating. I can also show you something today that can give you like a tiling effect like this. We'll use a fractal noise. And I think that you can get the same effect here, but where they're kind of flashing in and out. So that might be beneficial for you here. Maybe you want to do something like that. And then the only other thing is that you just need an end scene, like a credit scene. So long enough on screen for someone to read it and then add 2 seconds, right? So your name as the animator and then credit whoever the music was from. But really good first start on this, Jasmine. I am impressed with that. And I'm excited to see the changes. So good job. All right, we have Natalie. I think this is, yeah. No, Keith. Sorry, Keith. Keith, are you with us in the chat today? Are you here? All right, let's go over Keith's. I think that was my computer. It's a my computer thing.
Black. Black holds many sentiments around the world. It represents evil, the occult, religion, power, fear, and death. Black is always worn by people of power, like a judge in controlling of marking the guilty, a nun, religious powers to guide sinners, occultists, the invisible arts to persuade and manipulate. Black may be a common color, but the most precious and rarest stone is black opals, only able to be created in Australia.
All right, Keith, great first start at this. Let's go ahead and let me see real quick. Cool first start. I think that here that you should have, like, I would cut, maybe you could have this part over where you're talking about the occultists and stuff and just start right away with the color black. So, and right into your voiceover, for because for a while here I thought that there was no VO, that we were already into the video and I was just going to watch it with music and without your script being read over it. So I would do that. I would have this first right away with your script introducing it, and then you could have this part happening, like maybe shorten this part right here. And then have it happening over like the occult or something like that. And then as far as
Black holds many sentiments around the world.
As far as the audio goes, you just need to turn the audio down because it's competing with your voiceover, and especially when it like comes in with a harder like synth and drum beat in there, that you're gonna want to be able to hear yourself. So sometimes, right, if that happens in the song where it's kind of quiet in the beginning and then you're talking over it and then all of a sudden it gets louder, you have to dip that decibel where the music starts to get louder. So you have to look at your waveform, find where that waveform starts to peak, and then animate the decibels down in that section, like in a smooth like ramp, in order to kind of keep it lower for your voiceover to be over it. So I would definitely turn this down at least 2 notches, right? So at least 6 decibels, turn it down.
The world. It represents evil, the occult, religion, power, fear, and death.
This is okay. Let's see here. I think that the scene, you don't want a blank scene for a while, and there's a blank scene for almost 2 full seconds here. So maybe
Black. Black holds many sentiments around the world. It represents evil.
Maybe you could have like a black world, like the just like, because you're saying it holds many sentiments around the world. Maybe you had like a map scene come up there where it's all black, right? And then it just introduces then these different
evil, the occult, religion, power, fear, and death.
This is fine. I think that you're gonna need to have a, well, you do actually have a 3D scene. It's the next one.
Black is always worn by people of power.
This part right here, I would have this scene fade off, and then
black is always worn by people of power.
The one talking about the judges, nuns, people of power, occultists and stuff, I would have a new scene here, right? Because this scene's up here for far too long, and this scene, this part of the voiceover needs its own separate illustrations and stuff here, but now you have time to get those done, so I don't think that'll be an issue.
Like a judge in controlling of marking the guilty.
Like there you could have the gavel banging on a desk or something like that. That would be fine.
Religious powers to guide sinners.
You could have the nun, like maybe the silhouette of the nun just kind of peek through.
The invisible arts to persuade and manipulate. Black may be a common color, but the most precious and rare.
And then I would end that scene here where you say,
black may be a common color, but the most precious.
You know, find a way to transition into this one.
The most precious and rarest stone is black opals.
The black opal. So it is, this is a good start to the black opal because it does look very similar to it. I would, well, I mean, it looks like a black pearl kind of. So I would look into the material for an opal would be really hard because it's kind of rainbow, right? When I pull it up here and I look at it, that's technically, these are black opals. So you can have that there. I would make the Shape of the stone a little less symmetrical, right? So not a perfect sphere, but maybe elongate it and make it look like an oval. I think that would be a little bit, that would differentiate it from like a black pearl, right? These are really pretty, by the way. These are cool. And then you mentioned that it's only in Australia. So maybe the map scene could come up here instead.
Only able to be created in Australia.
That's cool how it goes out and then your title scene on here. Cool, interesting way to have animated the music. Good start on this. You have some work to go on it, but you've got like a chunk of it done right now. So I think you'll be able to get that done by next Thursday's class and have something really strong there, especially so basically the whole thing, cutting this part out or moving it right to maybe the occultist part. Maybe with the occultist, you could have like a symbol appear above, like on the forehead. I don't know, something like that. Something to do with the occult, right? So I would move that and then just start right away with here. Turn the music down a couple decibels. Let's see. Stop this scene at that one spot where
Black is always worn by people of power. Always worn by people of power.
Right there where you say black is always worn by people of power should transition into the scene where you have a nun, a priest, or the nun and the judge and whatever you're going to do there. So that should be its own separate scene.
Black is always worn the invisible arts to persuade and manipulate.
And then with the opal, I would just make it in more of like an oblong like shape. Something a little less perfect round, and then I think you'll be good to go. I did show, remember I showed how to do that in class. 2 classes ago I showed how to do that with the stone. I think I can open it real quick here. Let's see. Let me find out. Trying to open. I've got those bouncing things. Okay. Stop this. Again, open this. Take your sphere. Add a, where was it? Displacer. Let's drop the sphere size down. And I think the displacer goes into the sphere here. And with the displacer, we're going to go into the shader and add noise into the shader here. And then you can double click on the shader. Let me move my. Yeah, not a problem. Did you hear all of my feedback that I just gave for that? Were you listening? Were you able to hear all that stuff? And then also, did you see my announcement that I just posted in Canvas? So here I would take the global scale and increase it. And there you go. You can have like more of this like opal shape. Just kind of an odd shaped object instead of a perfect circle. And then you can always take the sphere here and increase the segments so it smooths it out more, right? You can do that because the opals, from what I saw, are very smooth. I don't know. I doubt that's naturally what it comes out like. I mean, those are likely high, those are guaranteed polished stones that have been tumbled and stuff or filed down and stuff. I would do this. And I think this will be beneficial for you. And it takes 2 seconds, so it'll be really easy to replace. Yeah, let me know if you heard the feedback. Half of it I just entered and I just booted my PC. Okay, yeah. You'll want to rewatch it because I gave you feedback on the rest of it and stuff. And then I also mentioned, because I've had several people talk to me about not being able to get it done in time. And so what I did is I extended the due date until Monday, Monday night at midnight. But for the people who have turned that in, that gives you guys an advantage because you're getting live feedback on it right now so that you have all weekend to work on it, right? And whereas if you turn it in on Monday night, I'm going to have to go over it on Tuesday, and then you're going to have to do it between Tuesday and Wednesday and have it in by Thursday. So there's more pressure there to not get it done. But then, like I did mention in the announcement, that if you guys turn it in over the weekend before Monday, I'm going to try my best to get you guys feedback as soon as possible. I have a couple plans over the weekend. So, whenever I have time or depending on when you guys turn it in, I'll give you guys the feedback on it. But yeah, so that's what I was mentioning. Part of that in the you said that they were rainbowy, which confused you a lot, which was okay. Um you could always, I mean, I don't know how to create an opal material in Cinema 4D. Let me see if I could find. I try to submit even if it's not good. It's just my personal rule to submit something before a deadline. Yeah, yeah. I like that rule. Something is better than nothing, right? That's what everyone says, and that's always the truth of it. Is turning in something is better than turning in nothing at all. Because then at least you get some points and not no points. But I did extend it because I've had a few of the students like reaching out to me saying I've just not been able to get it done, and I know it was a tight deadline with that. So I'm giving you guys the weekend a little bit of extra time to get that done. But then, for, like I said, for you, I gave you this feedback, and you're going to be able to implement that feedback over the weekend and have an easier time doing that. I would look to see if there's you can add the material on there, which is fine. You can keep the material. That I would just make it like an odd shape so that it's not perfectly spherical, because it kind of looks like, here was my idea for the rainbow by changing the material background reflection with a picture or a rainbow. Yeah, I think that's actually a genius idea. That's very smart. Like your HDR material could be like a rainbow color, or like you could create um something interesting that would work for that. I think that would be cool. I like that idea. Like you could even take the HDR and create one yourself. Um you can look to see if they have one already in there. But you can create one in like Photoshop. How to create an HDR image in Photoshop. No, already gone over Nikara's and then yours and Jasmine's. So I still have a few more to go over. So I got a handful of them in. Just not everyone's in class.
Today,
This
we're
is
introducing
actually a
the
perfect.
next chapter.
I'm gonna do. Are you logged into Slack, Keith? I'm gonna give you a tutorial right now. I'm gonna send one to you that I found online. That should work, hopefully. I'm gonna send it to you in Slack. Here you go. And it talks like how to. You don't have to worry about the octane part, but just like importing it into Cinema 4D would be easy, right? And you could just create like a gradient kind of inside of Photoshop, so it wouldn't have to be anything super detailed, and then import it in. But I think that you will be able to do that. I think that's a smart idea. And so have it kind of reflecting the cover colors. I like that. All right, so let's go to. Wait, I did Jasmine's, I did yours, Keith. I have to do Jesus's here, and then Melissa's, and then Jade's, and then, yeah, that's what I got. Okay. All right, Jesus, let's do this.
Blue
I
is
sent
the
it to you.
color of tranquility.
All right.
Initially, blue was not even recognized as being a color, instead a variant of green. Lapis lazuli is a gemstone that for many centuries could only be found in a single mountain range within Afghanistan. The color blue came from its former name of ultramarine blue, where the medieval
Good job
era
here,
lapis lazuli to make
Jesus.
blue. The color blue was extremely hard to come by as it had a hefty price tag that rivaled
All
the
right,
price
there
of
we go.
gold. Thank you so much for watching.
Good job, Jesus. Really good start on here. Let's kind of break down your let's break down the video real quick. This scene here, I'd like it to be a little bit more abstract. So not having blue as the color of tranquility just written on screen. Kind of like Jasmine did with hers, where she had it just like one word and then kind of transition to like an image. I think that would be good. The first thing I did realize though is that your audio is really low. So you got to bump the audio up so that we can hear it a little bit more. Yeah, you could do that. You could try that too. I think that should work, Keith. But yeah, I think that if you back to this Jesus, if you do that, I think it would be cool. Or even if you have something in the background a little bit, like something that shows tranquility. Maybe it's a beach, or maybe it's um something just relaxing like the sky or something like that. But it would be stronger if you had less text on screen and more visuals happening here.
Tranquility. Initially, blue was not even recognized as being a color, instead a variant of green.
All right, that's not bad. I think you did a good job with the little pop sound effects and stuff on here.
Lapis lazuli is a gemstone that for many centuries could only be found in a single mountain range within Afghanistan.
This is good. This is cool. This is a great one.
Blue, where the medieval era mined lapis lazuli to make blue.
This on this section right here where his little arms are going, there, what's happening here? So you have, when you have their bodies, like when you have the object fading out, and there's a stroke on your illustration, it will show that when you're changing the opacity. And so I would almost just take the stroke off of the I would take the stroke off of the person, and maybe to differentiate the legs and the arms is what you could do is make the back arm and the back leg a slightly darker shade of that blue. So just go in and like turn, like make the blue a little bit darker, and that'll differentiate from the rest of the body. And I would remove the stroke and then fade the entire scene as like a pre-composition, or make the opacity change faster so we don't notice this and can see kind of like the framing um of the body here. But this is really cool where you have it hitting. The sound effects on it are really good. The When he hits it and it comes flying out, that's really cool.
The color blue was extremely hard to come by as it had a hefty price tag that rivaled the price of gold.
I like that. That was great. I would just, with this one, maybe just put it, center it down a little bit more, maybe. I mean, I don't even think it's that big of a deal. Um, I think this one's cool. You might want to, maybe what you could do is have a few bricks of gold fall down. So instead of just one, maybe you have 3 of them hitting in the area. And so I think that would give it a little bit more of a visual impact. Showing that like you've got like 3 bars of gold, but still this one little piece of this is way more expensive.
Thank you so much for watching.
All right. The other thing I would do is just make sure that this stays on a grid right now. And I would have your name first and then the name of the artist doing the music because you're the one who animated it. So I would put animated by, so change this from made to animated by Jesus Rodriguez, and then put the music down at the bottom and make sure you're using the title action safe down here. Let me move my thing real quick so that you are making sure that it's sticking within this bounds, right? So I would almost just take this, make it smaller font size and drop it below your name. And then I think it's on screen for long enough. Perfect. Yeah. And then fade the music out at the end. Other than that, you had a good solid start here, Jesus. So a few things to do, but not a ton of stuff. Let me see. I got, all right, perfect. That was from you, Keith. Right there. Just getting some things ready. All right, next is Melissa.
The color blue can be found almost everywhere, such as the burners in our stoves, is some people's eye color. Everybody views the color blue differently. Some see it as melancholy, with thunderous storms, while others see it as cheery as the bright night sky. The color blue also covers most of our planet. It holds the largest animal in the world and the coral reef.
Oh, that was a 3D whale.
It can also be a symbol of wealth, as people compared the blue dye as valuable as gold for how difficult it was to gather.
All right, good start here. I like that you found the whale inside of Cinema 4D. That was cool. Let's go ahead and break down the video scene by scene. The first thing overall is that it's not monochromatic, and it needs to be monochromatic. So you can't have the orange in here or the green color, similar to like how Jesus did it, how Keith did it, how Jasmine did it, where it was all that one color. You have to be kind of conscious about how you're putting colors together in order to make them have enough contrast to see in between. And I think that would be you have to do that for this. You can't have all these other colors in it because it's a Colorscope project about the one color, and that's what we want it to be. So you'll have to change these to just different types of blue. And it's okay. Like what you can do on here, right, is you can have a dollar symbol appear or something that shows that it's a coin, or a cent. So like, right, the little C with the little slash through it to show that it's like money, right? As far as the audio goes, your song is louder than your voiceover, and so you're going to need to either drop the audio for the song or you need to increase your voiceover. It sounds like it was just recorded a little bit further away. So, I don't expect you guys have fantastic professional microphones. And so that's okay. But you guys got to just learn to balance the audio so that I can hear the voiceover and not just all the music. But I like that you chose the
The color blue can be
very similar to Jasmine. You picked like a ambient type of music, and I think it fits these blue color scopes really well because it's all about um relaxation, tranquility, like Jesus said, and so on and so forth. Like meditation, calmness, those kind of things. And I think that that kind of musical choice through these is a good, smart
can be
decision.
found almost everywhere, such as the burners in our stoves, who's some people's eye color.
Yeah, so I would definitely just make that. You could have the burners like maybe the flames not on, but maybe the burners have a little notch in them on the knobs. And the rest of this is blue. This is blue. Maybe these can stay black but I would have a blue background on here, especially. And then maybe one of these burners turns on and the flame scales up from the bottom and pops into frame. And then you could do some little frame by frame animations here if you want to. I see these little guys kind of popping up, so that's fine. And then this guy could still come. Maybe the background here is a really dark blue so that when this little flame pops out and scales up, it still covers up the background. And I think that will be beneficial. And then it could even be this color blue that you have as your background here. I think that would be perfect choice.
The color blue can be found almost everywhere, such as the burners in our stoves, who's some people's eye color. Everybody views the color blue differently.
For some people's eye color, you're gonna want the eye to be on right away when you say that.
People's
So
eye color.
uh let's see here. So you might want to transition out of this scene
Such
earlier.
as the burners in our stoves, who's some people's eye color. Everybody views the color
So maybe this transitions when this little thing pops up, it transitions to just reveal the eye. And then you don't have to do this like spinning animation. It's still cool, like this little morph thing that you do. In a path animation here. It looks like it was a lot of work. Maybe that's happening at the same time that it's being revealed by this little blue spark that comes up.
people's eye color. Everybody views the color blue differently. Some see it as melancholy, with thunderous storms,
I don't think that
while others see it as cheery as the bright night sky.
I see why you have the eye in there, but I think the eye at that point is just it's kind of not working for this scene. And so once the eye is gone from that one scene, like the teardrop comes into place, maybe it shows in this scene instead of an eye, it's talking about like a thunderstorm, right? So maybe it's just some kind of outdoor scene with water coming down, right? And then clouds overhead, and then it can transition into a night sky, right? The rain can stop, the clouds can move away, and the stars can pop up with the night sky. The sky can change to a different dark color. So you could keep the sky kind of like this bluish, like this lighter saturated blue for like the thunderstorm happening, and have more of those raindrops falling from the eye. So the raindrop falls, and instead of like take this eye out, just have a bunch of raindrops falling from the top, and then having the clouds come in. Maybe you could have a thunder rumble in the background. It's like a sound effect on there. And then have those clouds move away and the stars in the night sky show.
Cheery as the bright night sky. The color blue also covers
This part here is on screen too long. Like you don't want to have a big rule of thumb for all animated videos is to not just have a stagnant frame on screen ever. It should always be something happening in the scene. And so right here, you're going to maybe have to fill this in while you're talking about the ocean.
the color blue also covers most of our planet.
Like maybe you have the planet pops up here, and then the planet goes away, and then you have
Animal in the world.
the whales coming. The whales are fine. I don't mind that they're swimming in like this. I think that you could have them slow. You need to slow them down because these giant whales aren't speeding through the ocean like a torpedo. If they were, I'd be much more concerned for the general population who's out in open waters. But you know, these big, giant whales swim really slower than normal. I don't know. Let's see what the top speed is. I'm just curious now. Speed of a blue whale. 31 miles an hour. Short bursts. I mean, it is a short burst, but I think it would be beneficial to have them maybe swimming across the screen a little bit slower so we can, you know, see them on screen a little longer here.
World and the coral reef.
And you could even have them like swimming from one side to the other and the fish on screen, like a bunch of fish at the same time, a whole school of fish swimming around the blue whale. I think that would be cool. So I would make that change as well.
It can also be a symbol of wealth, as people compared the blue dye as valuable as gold for how difficult it was to gather.
Yeah, and then I would for sure make sure that this is all blue, the gold, the table, the gemstone, and
This symbol of wealth, as people compared the blue dye as valuable as gold for how difficult it was to gather.
maybe maybe it's like one big pile, so instead of sliding the frame over like this, you have like a big pile of gold on the same thing. Maybe the coins fall down and stack onto place, instead of just sitting in the screen here and moving along. I think that would be cool. Like maybe the coins fall onto the desk, the gem falls onto the desk. It doesn't have to be all of them, maybe 2 or 3. They just animate from the top down to the bottom. It's all in the same scene, so maybe you start with this framing right here. The gold kind of falls onto the scene. You can tuck these into each other a little bit more. That's a paintbrush, I believe, so maybe you have a paint palette instead of the cloth, or the cloth could be draped around the face. I think that would make a stronger looking scene there. And so those are the changes that I would make to the video overall. And then this last scene here, just have it a blue background so it matches. Maybe it's the same blue background color as the first scene. So yeah, good start here, but some room to wiggle with work. All right, now let's do Jade's. One second, I'm going to... All right, let's watch Jade's.
Green is the color of nature, such as grass, trees, and leaves. Common association with the color green are money, health, and envy. Green is the lucky color in Chinese culture. It is a symbol of wealth, rebirth, fertility. Green is also the color of jade. This is the luckiest and the most valuable stone in Chinese culture, known as the Stone of Heaven.
Cool. Nice. Good start on here, Jade. Let's go through and break it down a little bit. I think this scene here, maybe you could have the grass coming up on screen like this. I would have this happen earlier though.
Green is the color.
Right when you start talking is when the animations should start. And that's for all your guys' videos. So that is the first thing that I would make the change on is bring these onto screen earlier. So we're not just sitting and waiting for something to happen on screen. And then let me see here real quick. And then instead of, so I don't care that the grass is rotating up. That's fine. But what I would do with the trees, because the trees have like a hard edge here, where the drawing ends and up at the top. So instead of animating the rotation in the Z plane, I would have these maybe come in separately from the side. So maybe the trees come in on screen from off screen on either the left or the right side and move into the scene that way. And I think it would give it a little bit of a variation here, versus just having it like move rotating in. So, oh, let me see here. What did I do? No. There we go. It's like, what happened here? So yeah, instead of them rotating in, I would have maybe this tree coming in from this side this way. Maybe even this tree coming in from this side this way, and these two trees and this one coming in from this side into the scene. And it would just vary it a little bit differently. And then we don't see those hard edges.
Common association.
The leaf is cool. I would have this slower going over the scene as a transition so that we can see the transition and appreciate it. So I would slow that little section down right there.
Common association with the color green and money.
So it could reveal that money. So the money could already be here, right? And then that green leaf would swing over to reveal that dollar bill that's already there. And that way you don't have to animate the position.
Green is the lucky color in Chinese culture. It is a symbol.
There we go. I like the curtains that come down. The 4-leaf clover is cool. This part here, cool job on like warping that.
Greens.
Interesting with the heart for the emotions. I think I would remove
green and money, help and
I would remove the dollar once you say money, and then health. You could bring in the heart with the emotions on it, like the face that's on it.
Greens is the lucky color in Chinese culture. It is a symbol of wealth.
And then this part here, the kind of like throughout the video, what I'm seeing is like too fast of a scaling, too fast of the transitions. So you can slow those transitions down a bit. We're not trying to hide too much stuff right now. You do those fast cuts to switch to different shaped objects, but we're not doing that. And so since you're scaling it up, like having it be on screen a little bit longer gives a nice pace to the video. So it's like, you say something and then a transition happens and then you say the rest of it. So you don't have to speed through it super fast. And to slow it down so we can appreciate like what you've done in the video.
Symbol of wealth, rebirth, fertility.
green is also the color of jade.
If you're right here, you can have this scale in, but if you say green is also the color of jade, I would have this fully opaque and not transparent at all, like when it's already covering up, like you're changing the transparency and the scale at the same time so that it comes in the scene fully transparent like this, and then you won't get like this weird flashing that's coming on. You want it full opaque right about here, like it's your opacity is at 100% and it's covering up the baby at that point, and then it's just on screen and it can do that bounce up and then come down. So just move those opacity keyframes up.
Known as the stone of heaven.
The stone of heaven. Okay, cool. And then I would just extend the PNG sequence so that it doesn't just cut off right here, because what happens is it just disappears because the layer got cut off there. And so I would make that change to that as well. Extend that layer all the way through the comp. And then, yeah, cool. That was on the end title card was on there long enough. That was good. Good start in here, Jade. A few changes and stuff, but easy changes to get done by Thursday. By Thursday's class. So good first draft on this. All right, you guys. So I've gone through everyone's color scopes so far. Let's do a couple background things. I know last time I had some, like, I kind of was messing around with turbulent noise, and that wasn't the one I needed. After class I got off and I started looking through the effects, and it was fractal noise was the effect I was looking for. And so we're going to use that to create a few things. We're going to also use a couple different techniques to create some different looking backgrounds for your reels, right? For your title card in your reel, if you don't want to just use a video with a blur over top of it. And I think that this will be cool for you guys to just know how to, like, learn to experiment with different effects, or with the same effect and get different variations to it. So let me kind of just go down here. So I'll do a few of those, and then yeah, we'll call it a night. All right, let's start with our competition or composition. So 1920 1080. We'll do this one like wavy line background. It definitely doesn't need to be this long. It can be 10 seconds, 15 seconds long. 10 seconds will be fine. All right. So the first thing that we want to do is we want to grab our pen tool, and we're going to shut the fill off here. I'm going to hit OK. I'm going to hide my camera so that you guys can see just this on here. But I know you guys were, struggling with backgrounds. A lot of you guys in your reel had just a solid color background. So this should give you guys a little bit more options on how to work with it. And you guys can pick different colors and stuff. So I'm going to change the stroke. So turn the stroke on. Probably not that big. Probably 15 pixels will be fine. And then we'll pick a color here. I guess red works. Yeah, red works. And so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to off the composition. I keep saying competition, but I mean composition. So off of your scene over here, I'm going to draw a diagonal line. Just click somewhere like kind of middle of the composition here. And then I'm going to hold shift and I'm going to click up here as well. Now, it went up here because it went up further than where my brush was, because I hit the shift button, and that's fine. And you can't see it right now on screen because I obviously drew it off of my composition. But if I move this here, you can see that the line is there. Now, the first thing that I want to do is I want to take this line and I want to repeat it so that it goes all the way across my composition here. And so the first thing that you want to do, let's rename this wavy line base. I'll name it. And you want to drop down this layer, and under add, we are going to find the repeater. We've used that in class so far. And we're going to drop the repeater options down here, and we're going to increase the number of copies. So all of a sudden you can see it kind of go off screen. I think 45 copies will be plenty. And right away you notice that it's only half the screen. And so we're going to want to just move this down like this in order to, and I can move it over, in order to make it so it goes across the entire screen as one, solid thing, and it's not just hanging off right there or hanging off right here, or like too much space right over there. So all you got to do is just move that over. And now we're going to want to add an effect to this. So I'm going to go over to my, let's open this up a little bit more. Where is it? Do I have my effects and presets over here? No. Over here? Yes. All right, under my effects and presets, I am going to look for a wave warp. Wave warp. Not wave world, but the wave warp right here. And I'm going to grab this. I'm going to drag it onto that line. And right away, you see that there are a bunch of kind of wavy looking lines that are right here. And that's fine. Let me see. We can always, we're going to change the way this looks. If I hit play right now, they're just moving across the screen in just its own standard way. You can come up here to the wave type and you can change this to square. You can change the angle. So maybe I wanted kind of like a checkerboard pattern, right? So let me type in 90. Let me type in 0. It's kind of it's like, it's based on the angle that I drew it as well. So let's kind of do this. 60 seemed cool. You can change the width of these. So you can increase the width a bunch if you want to. You can change this back. You can change it to a sawtooth. Which one else was a good one? The triangle one isn't bad. If you change, if you don't like the angle that this is at, you just have to grab your pen tool or the selection tool and grab the path of the shape. Let's see here. Go under shape, select the path, grab this here. So maybe I wanted it straight across, right? You could do that. Let me redo this section right here. But here's just a quick kind of way to get a pattern. And I'll show you how else to get this pattern too. We can delete this wave warp. We can get like a more natural looking pattern. They call it a Turing pattern, and it's similar to like what you would see on a topographical map. So a topographical map looks like this, where you can read the height of like your landscape. And let me see here. It's a great way to get an idea of like mountain ranges and valleys and hills and things like that. And so you can see these kind of lines as they get closer together and further apart, and they're all sorts of wavy and stuff. And so we're going to do like more of a natural pattern on that. And so I'm going to close this. And instead of that wave warp on there, right, we'll get back to the wave warp in a little bit. But under the effects and presets, you can type in turbulent displace. I believe that's the one. I wrote it in my notes. Let's see here. Yeah, that's the one I want. I had to make sure to write it down because I was like, I will forget sometimes. There you go. Turbulent displace. And you already get that natural looking line here. Nothing, it's not animating right away, which is fine. We can go through here, and if you don't like the line thickness, you can drop the thickness of the stroke down to get a thinner looking line. You can increase the amount of the displacement that's happening. So 250 here. You can change the different types of displacement that also happen. So you can do a twist, and you can just mess around with these and see kind of what it looks like in these different variations of this displacement. I don't mind the bulge actually. The size determines, I think, the spacing between the layers here. So like it's tightening it up. If I bring it back out all the way, it's very, very small, displacing the lines a little bit. But if I bring it all the way up here, it's like increasing it, right? So just kind of zooming in on that. I'll keep that at 100. You can, the complexity, increase that. I would probably leave it around 1 because it makes it look a little bit more interesting. And then when you start to increase the complexity a lot, it looks very chaotic, and that is going to be a nightmare on your computer when you try to render it or play it back, right? It's not going to want to play that back very easily. So how do we animate this? We're going to want to animate the evolution, right? So if I start moving the evolution around, it starts to animate it. But instead of just animating the evolution with 2 keyframes, we're going to do this with an expression. And we're going to do it with a time expression. So it's going to take the time, right? There's a clock inside of all computers, and it's going to take essentially the time base, and it's going to multiply it by whatever number that you want it to go by. So it'll be either a lower number to go slower, or it's going to be a higher number and it'll go faster. So the first thing you want to do is you want to hit Alt and you want to click that stopwatch right next to the evolution. And then down here, it's going to give you the option to type in your expression. And so we are going to type the following. We're going to type time multiplied by 5. So what does that look like if I were to write it here? This is the expression that you will write in. Time multiplied, or asterisk, 5, right? No spaces. The multiplication symbol is not this. It is the asterisk sign, or the little star on your keyboard. And we're going to multiply it by 5. And so that's going to give us a nice kind of slow, steady moving pattern. So when I start to play that, you're going to notice it's just kind of evolving over time. Now that might be a little bit too slow for the background of your reel. So maybe I'd increase that by 25, right? Let's see how fast that is. 25 seems to be good. And it's creating like that cool topographic Turing pattern, right? And then you can always take a background, new solid, and maybe you change it to a really dark red and drop that below. And then you have this really cool background. And if you don't want it to be too disruptive to your text, right, because we want to be focusing on your text, you can still add that blur effect. You can add that Gaussian blur to the wavy lines and just increase it a little bit, maybe by 10. Maybe a little bit more. And it'll just kind of soften that up. So it's not such a... And it kind of blends them together more. It softens the lines, softens the edges. Probably at 30 would be fine. And it gives it like just an easier like background effect look on it. So that's one background that you guys can do. The other one was the one with a line. So another thing that you could do with this with a line. Let me take this. Let me hide that here. And let me draw a line just straight across the palette. Let's change the color here. So we're looking at something else. Maybe this one's going to be green because of Christmas. Green and red, right? Okay. And maybe we'll increase this one to 15. And we'll add that wave warp effect onto this line. So wave warp. And I'm going to kind of show you, I've already showed this in other classes. Let's put this one as like, let me see, what do I want to call it? It's like a heartbeat, or a like, what do I want to say? A wavelength. That's what it is. Wavelength, right? And so right away when I put that wave warp on there, let me zoom into my scene. You can see that it gives this really cool, like obviously even looking sine wave that we have going on here, a crimped look. You can obviously add the repeater onto that and bring this up more and repeat it on the way down, which would be cool. You can change the wave type here. You're going to have a more in like a more solid idea of what the line looks like, because before, or what the wave type looks like, because before we were putting this on a diagonal line, which kind of skewed the wave warp already, but when you put it along a straight path, it gives you the exact look of what it's supposed to be. And so understanding that is probably more important at first, and understanding how it's warping this line and what it's doing to it. The triangle one is going to give you kind of like this chevron looking pattern, sawtooth, circle, semicircle, so kind of like this scalloped edge look, right? And then you can, if I grab the triangle one, let's do this one, and I increase the height, it's going to increase that height here, right, of the wave. And if I want more distance in between each one of these peaks and valleys, I'm going to increase the width, so the wave width there. And so when I do that, bring that all the way up, and we have a Charlie Brown t-shirt, the inverted version, right? And you can animate these if you want to, but I would likely animate the phasing of this, right? So you can go like this and change the phase, or you can just hit play and it will automatically animate this from left to right for you. Now, if you change the direction, so I think this is 90, if we put negative 90, it will change the direction that it's going. So now it's going from left to right. So if you want it to move that way. If we take this option here called pinning, right? What is pinning? Pinning is essentially going to pinch the ends of the line. So, oh, sorry, let me undo that. But right here and right here, and it's going to pinch them. And this is going to look like a wavelength, like a color wavelength, or some kind of like audio wavelength. If I put it back to the side and then I go to pinning and I pin the edges, right? All of these edges, you're going to notice that it kind of flattens this little area out. And if I wanted that to look a little bit more flat, I could just go to the path here and bring those path ends in a little bit more, holding down shift right here. Shorten this, holding down shift, dragging that way, and then decreasing the height of it will kind of flatten that out. And then we have like this heartbeat looking monitor here. So a very powerful tool that you can get, like a lot of different looks that you can get with one effect. Let me change that back to the regular. We can turn off the pinning. If you pin it to the center, it's going to keep the center edge flat, or the center part of the line flat, and the outsides edges of the center or of the line will be what has that wave effect on it. You could just do the left. You could just do the top, which is going to pin it right up there or down here. So this might be more beneficial if we increase maybe the size of it here. Now we're just way beyond. There we go. Let's see, top edge, bottom edge. Okay, yeah, so it's pinning the wave, the top or the bottom, to the top or the bottom of your composition. But let's kind of reset this here. Let's say none. Let's just go back to the sine wave. Let's bring this down quite a bit. Maybe we're at just 100, and maybe even not that high, maybe like 75, and change it to that triangular one. And maybe what we do is we can, let's add that trim paths to this. So go down here to add. Let's mess around with this a little bit. Trim paths, or I'm sorry, not trim paths, but the repeater. Let's add the repeater to this. And let's increase the copies. And when you add the repeater, it automatically increases the copies on the X value. So it's increasing the copies over in this section, in this section. And so what we need to do is go down here and make this one 0 and then turn this value to 100, right? Or however far apart you want them. So 0, they're all on top of each other right now. And then as I increase this or decrease this, you can get the width of the lines that you would like. And then let us bring this, we can leave it right here actually. If you want to offset this, like you have your line in the center of your composition and you want to bring this all up, you can just update the offset there. And then if we change the start and end opacity, I believe it's the start opacity, so right around here, and we start to drop that down. Let me see if we change the offset back to 0. And maybe not so many copies. We have a ton of copies here, so maybe like 20 copies. And then I bring this up a little bit. Oop. Let's see. Go to the position here and bring this up. You can see that as I start to update the start opacity of the repeater, come on now, where is it? Right there. If I drop this start opacity down, it's going to fade out those top ones and kind of make it look like it's, fading all the way out. And you can do that the same with the end. So if I wanted the end ones to be like that, I would do that. And then I would drop the end opacity to 0. And then I would have to drop the number of copies, because right now it's just has too many copies for you to really see that effect. And so I'd probably 10, right? And then you start to see that effect happening there. Probably even less than that, maybe 8. And then you can faintly see the line there. But then, you can still play this and you have this pattern that's happening here that kind of fades off into nothing. It kind of fades out, right? So that's really cool. You can do something like that for your background. Let's see. We could do radio waves. So radio waves, you have to create a new solid layer. Let's see here. That's fine. We'll just leave that there. And then you're going to go up to the effect. How do you remove the black background? So the black background is automatically there because it's a transparency. If I wanted to see the actual transparency, it's just filling it in as black just to show us something, some kind of contrast that we can see. But in reality, this is nothing. This is not a background. There's no shape there. It's just a transparency. And you can see that by toggling on this transparency grid right there. And this is the realistic view of what it would be, right? Nothing. And so in order to, you can just make that black background go away like that. Or what you can do is you can add in a solid layer like this. So I added the solid by right clicking, going to new and adding solid like that. And then you can change the color here. Right. And then I can hit OK. And then we have a solid color. Hello, Jade. I gave you feedback, Jade, on your, I don't know if you were in class watching, but I gave you feedback on your Colorscope already. And so you can watch that earlier in the class but good start on it. So the Jade from the Cinema 4D has the black background. Yeah, you'll have to make sure that when you're exporting the Jade out of Cinema 4D that you're doing it as a PNG with the alpha channel. Do you remember how to do that? I'll show you guys one more thing here, and then I'll just go over that real quick with you, Jade. So you can select you're going to create a solid layer, and then you can go up to your effects and presets and type in radio waves and drag and drop that onto the layer here. And then all of a sudden you're going to get like this kind of background of waves happening. Let's maybe, if we put this here, right? Because you don't want to start it right there. You want it to kind of start all the way here. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this layer right there, and I'm going to move this forward in time to the beginning of my composition. And then I'm going to extend this layer there so that it's constantly on screen. It's not starting from 0 and scaling all the way up. It's just already at this spot. Okay, Jade, yeah, I'll show you how to do that then here in just a second when we're done going over this one. And so we have this like radio wave happening here, which is cool. We can change the amount of sides that this has. So if you don't want it to be a circle, you can drop this side down to 4 and you get a square, right? You can let's see here, adjust the wave type if you want to. I would not leave the wave type the way it is, but you can change the frequency and the expansion here of the thing. Let's see what the frequency is going to be, how many that you have in here, right? So how many lines you have, drop that down. And the expansion is going to expand the distance in between them, and also expand the entire radio wave for you. Because notice that it kind of fades off at the end there. We want the opacity. Let's see here. Let's adjust the stroke color. If you do this in white, if you have the stroke color white right now, let me just turn off the alpha channel there so we can see it as a black background. It is going to be beneficial if you want to change the layer mode, right? So let's put this as a white stroke right now, and then we can increase the end width here and the start width if wanted, so you can see how maybe it starts bigger in the center and it kind of fades out at the end there. Let me see here. I think we'll keep that at that section. I don't know if let me see. Yeah, okay. So if you notice, it's kind of like a vignetting effect that's happening around the outside edges here. And that's fine if that's the effect you want to go for. But if you want it solid all the way through, right? If you don't want it to fade, go from like fully opaque in the center to transparent on the edges, you'll just take this fade out time and you're just going to decrease that number all the way down. And so that way it's like fully solid on each one here. I don't mind it actually at, I think it was 5. Yeah, I don't mind it there. That's not bad. I will actually increase this a little bit more so we can get this kind of cool fade out. 10 is fine. And now let's combine this with a different layer color, like a gradient, to get this really cool gradient effect here. So I'm going to add a new layer, a new solid. Hit OK. Doesn't matter the color because we're going to add an effect. I'm going to drop that down. I'm going to rename this layer to radio waves. There we go. And this one to gradient layer. And on this layer right here, I am going to add a gradient ramp. Right there. Drop that onto the gradient layer. And then I'm going to change the colors here. Maybe it's like maybe the top color is like a green. And this bottom color is going to be like a blue. That color's cool right there. All right, and then what I'm going to do here is I'm going to change this layer mode right here to overlay. And then you're going to see what's going to happen. It's going to start affecting the colors of those lines. And so that's a really quick way to get a cool looking like background on here too. I would probably add a Gaussian blur just to soften the edges and stuff of this so it's not so hard and so prevalent against text. But it is a really cool effect to mess around with. And if I go to this radio waves thing, you can just start messing with the under polygon, the amount of sides that it has, and you can get like different shapes here, right? So you got 3 sides, you got 6 sides, you're increasing more, and you have a circle. So just some cool different ways to create some different backgrounds in here for behind your guys' titles. Okay, so let's close this out, and then I will show you guys how to do the alpha channel inside of Cinema 4D, and then we'll call it a night. Jade, the Jade that you created for your project looked very good though. I thought it looked nice. So let me do Cinema 4D. We'll just open this one. All right. Let me move this over here. I'll pause this. I'll create a new thing here. All right, so we're going to put a cube in here. I'm going to hit Control R. And so all of this, like, we'll pretend like this is your opal, right? All of this black background is transparency. But if you don't toggle on the transparency in your render settings, then it will render black right now. So if I were to go to save, and I were to save this to, let's go to GCC, this one, Colorscope, and just save it here. It is going to export this out as a black layer. So if I go to output and I'm like current frame only, okay, and then I go to render it, it's going to render it black. And so when I bring this up or bring this into here, this is how I will show you. Let me reopen up After Effects real quick. And while that's opening, I will pull up on my desktop here. Well, I'll import in here the thing. Let me add a new solid background so you can see the difference. It's going to take a second. There we go. New composition. That's why. I was like, why is this not working? There we go. New solid. Okay. So if I bring in that image, Control I to import, and I put it to the desktop, or no, I did not. I put it in this folder here, and I just bring that in, import it, and drag this down here. It is going to have that black background, right? Because I didn't put on that solid layer. It is also the wrong size composition, but you'll just have to make sure you do yours correctly. So what you do is you go into your render settings here up at the top, and I would change this to 1920 by 1080 there, so I get the right one. We'll do current frame, and under save here, right here, you're going to want to change the format to a PNG, and then you're going to want to click alpha channel right here, and that's what's going to give you your transparency. So if I go to PNG and I click this alpha channel, and then I close this because I'm going to save it to the same place, and I render that out. It's going to look black right here, right now. But when I bring that, let's see here. You can tell right away that that one's transparent because the background of it is the same color as the background file. But when I bring that in and import it into my sequence and drag this down in here, it is going to have a transparency. So then if I shut this other picture off, you have a transparent image here. And so that's how you're going to make sure that you get that jade without that black background. Is just making sure you go up to render settings, under save. You're going to want to change it to PNG and then make sure that you mark off the alpha channel so it's checked on. And then that will work for you. Is that helpful for you, Jade? Yeah, of course. Of course. Not a problem. All right, you guys. So, those of you who did turn your Colorscopes in tonight and got feedback in class, because you had it turned in before class, you guys stand the advantage of already having your feedback, and so you can start making your changes right away. And that way you're not cramming for Thursday's final class to get this done, because you also have to make changes to your reels and you have to make changes to your Colorscope. So I would start on those right away. For those of you who haven't turned your Colorscope in yet, you can turn it in all the way up until Monday at midnight, your first draft. I changed the date again. I'll let you guys know. I also sent out an announcement, but it's now, instead of tonight at midnight, I have it due anytime between now and 11th of December is when this closes, right? At 11:59 p.m. So get it in before then. If you don't get it in until that day, I will go over the last of the Colorscopes on Tuesday's class, as well as any other reels that we get, because I want to see your reels. Even if you didn't hand it in for the first assignment, still get it to me some way, and I will review those on Tuesday's class as well and give you feedback. And that way you can take the rest of Tuesday night, Wednesday night, and some of Thursday to have this done, because the final drafts of both the reel and the Colorscope are going to be due on Thursday, the 14th, by 6 p.m. because I have to go over them in class, right? So if you don't have them here by 6 p.m., the final of your reel and the final draft of your Colorscope by the 14th, then unfortunately you don't get credit for that. And that is our final project. Those are our final projects. So make sure that you guys are working on these the rest of the week, and it's crunch time. Just like put the time in and you'll be good. Other than that, I'll let you guys go to start working on that kind of stuff. Do you guys have any more questions in the chat? I think, I don't think Keith is still with us. I don't know if he is I don't know if he's still in the chat. Let me see here. Jade, do you have any more questions? Oh, Keith is in the chat. He's still here. No questions on Keith's end. Jade, do you have any more questions? Anyone else in the chat? All right. Yeah, of course. Always welcome for class. I'm happy you guys joined. And write me this weekend if you need to. Like I said, I'll try and keep myself as available as I can to you guys for this weekend for any questions or anything like that. But good starts on your Colorscopes, and I will talk to you guys in class on Tuesday. So enjoy your weekends, you guys. Good job getting ahead of it for all your stuff. So bye.